besties. You've found your community bestie to share thoughts and opinions, recap the shows we love.
Having too much fun.
Bravo should be fun.
And have piping hot gossip sessions about the celebrities and Bravo lebs we love, hate, and love to hate.
He went on a podcast claiming he had a threesome with 2 women from the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Immediately, I was like, I wonder if it's Brandy and Carlton.
I'm Caitlin Marshall, your pop culture and Bravo bestie.
Allegations, allegedly allegations.
And if you enjoy fun conversation between friends, listening to your bestie rant about shows we can't get enough of, plus enjoy a little bit of, well, ridiculousness.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. There's a spider that is coming down. Hold on.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
It's like the Blair Witch Project.
Oh my God. Has anybody seen my ring?
Oh my God.
I don't want to ruin the party or anything.
Have you seen my ring? Oh my God. Can you look on the floor for my ring? God, someone's gonna kill me.
Don't mess with me because I will come.
What? Oh.
Feel free to leave that in for whatever entertainment purposes.
You're in the right place. So thanks for joining me on Besties by Bravo. Hi, besties. Thank you for joining today. It is Wednesday, April 16th, and we have reached the end of season 14 of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, darling. I will be recapping that today. Now, we did get the Valley premiere last night, and I know the episode itself wasn't anything crazy, but I do believe it is going to be an incredible season of the Valley. I don't understand why so many people poo-poo it. It's going to be good, and I will be recapping it. That episode that I'm recapping, that will come out on Friday, and then it will move to a regular spot of me releasing it on Wednesdays because, we've got Summer House, all of that. So just wanted to keep one thing in the regular little spot. Well, 2 things, I guess, this week is Beverly Hills. My goodness, I have about 30 pages of notes. If you are watching on YouTube, it's going to be one big old long video. So sit back, relax, enjoy, do whatever you want to do or normally do while I'm talking your ear off. But be sure and join the comment section, hit the like button, subscribe, do all those things. If you're listening on audio, this will be 2 parts. Okay. All right, my friends. Let's get on into it, shall we? Now, when I watched this the first time, I had some different feelings than I did when I watched it a second time to take my notes. So I have mixed feelings, is what I'm trying to tell you. We're picking up from Dorit antagonizing Sutton, saying Sutton believes she's better than everyone else because she has money and that Sutton tries to buy people. Sutton asks Dorit, "Who have I tried to buy? Who have I tried to buy, honey?" And that's when Dorit goes, "Oh, here she comes. Here she comes." Sutton tells Dorit that she herself has been calling people honey all day. So yeah. And again, I don't know what's going on with me, but somehow my opinions almost completely flipped. When I watched this the first time, it was a totally different perspective from where I'm at. So bear with me because I don't know what my issue is. But here we go. Dorit is pissing me the F off. Okay? Because I want her to defend herself against how awful Sutton had been to her in many moments this season. But at the same time, how the heck are you going to antagonize Sutton and expect her to sit and say nothing with no attitude? You were dying, Dorit, to push her to this. And now she's meeting you there and you are so thrilled. And then, you know what? Now I'm just kind of annoyed that Sutton fell for it. You know what I mean? Jennifer actually does speak up for Sutton in her own way, which we know jumping in the fray to this extent really isn't something that Jennifer seems to really enjoy. She says that she doesn't feel that Sutton tries to buy people. And Kathy Hilton over there says, she's frugal. Erika leans over and goes, "Now you're saying she's cheap?" And Kathy goes, "I'm saying she's cheap," which cracks Sutton up. But Kyle tells Sutton that Kathy thinks she's helping. And Garcelle is over there still having Sutton's back, saying that Sutton is definitely not cheap.
And we move on to the 4th of July party where Garcelle had told Bose to stop being Dorit's spokesperson. And a viewer had said that Garcelle should maybe be happy that there would be someone there to deliver Dorit's messages succinctly. Garcelle says essentially that her issue with Bose coming into it was that Bose didn't even ask what was going on. She just came in with what Dorit had fed her and went from there. She didn't get anyone else's side of it. But Bose isn't totally understanding that either, because she tells Garcelle, "You act like there needed to be an investigation. What I knew was that Sutton wanted to leave. My question was, why was she still sitting there? If she wanted to leave, let her go." Sutton tells Bose that she never asked anyone to chase after her, to which Bose says she knows. She knows all that, which is why in the after show, when you said I was an angry Black woman, basically, oy, yeah. Garcelle asks who said that because she didn't clock that fully when she was sitting next to Sutton and she was who Sutton had said that to. So the flashback shows Sutton saying, "I mean, what did I do to Bose to make you so almost angry at me?" And here's the thing. I wouldn't have called Bose angry in that moment. Trigger word or not, I would not have said Bose was angry. I would have said she was annoyed in that moment, period. And that's the part that people will need to kind of try and understand. It's the disproportionate description of the feelings and expression of said feelings from a Black woman versus how a white woman can act and it be perceived. Okay. And angry, you want to know what angry was? That was Kyle and Dorit ready to lunge at each other. The Viper room across that table and Kyle's vein. Well, honey, that vein in particular, she was a third party in that. In fact, I would actually call that whole thing furious, not just angry. That was furious. But again, I wouldn't call, like another example, I wouldn't call the argument on the boat between, say, Sutton, Erika, and Dorit angry on Dorit and Erika's end. On Sutton's end, different story. But let's also play that game of if it were Bose that was saying the exact same things in the exact same tone, in the exact same volume that Erika was, the stereotype would have then been perpetuated to say she was angry, and it wouldn't have been proportionate. You know what I'm saying? So again, I would fully say that Bose was annoyed and speaking no more sternly to those ladies than Erika and Dorit were speaking to Sutton on that boat. But Garcelle says she didn't pick up on Sutton saying that about Bose, which I may have to call our beloved Garcelle out on a little bit. I'm sorry. I'm actually very surprised Garcelle didn't at least say to Sutton, "Well, I don't think she was angry. You know, you shouldn't say that about her." I believe she was irked by it, though. But God, and it gets worse because Sutton defends the statement by saying Bose was kind of yelling at her. And, you know, it's just, here we go again. Bose and I have something in common. Which, number one, Bose has a loud, commanding voice. And again, I personally, let's go ahead and just for a moment, we can't, but let's remove the microaggressive aspect of it. I don't consider what Bose was doing yelling because she speaks at a different volume than Sutton. All you have to do is pay attention to how Bose speaks, and you'll know she speaks at a higher volume than someone like Sutton does. And again, I have that in common with her. I'm the exact same way and get told I'm talking too loud all the damn time. And it's very annoying, but I don't have the same stereotypes and labels put on me at all. I don't have any really put on me at all. Certainly not any ones that are hurtful. In fact, just when I'm talking on here, I have to try and lower my voice. Otherwise, there'll be an echo in this room and you'll hear it really loud. I'm sure you've heard it if you are not a new listener, if you're not a new bestie here, because I just get too loud and it's just, there's passion. And like if I put the tiniest bit of emotion or passion into anything, people who don't know me think I'm yelling. And as someone who doesn't have, again, a single stereotype working against them, it annoys me to hell and back. So I can't imagine how Bose feels hearing that as a Black woman. And I'm being so for real, y'all. I am not trying to be PC. I'm not trying to, cover my ass, anything like that. It's just, that's the way I view it. Bose was not yelling at all. So Bose tells Sutton she's going to have to straighten up because no one there has seen her yell. And I agree. I don't believe we've seen Bose yell at this point, especially not when she's mad. You know what I'm saying? In fact, at any moment that we've seen Bose kind of start feeling any type of way, I've actually noticed she tends to speak at a lower volume than her typical speaking volume. which also makes me even more sad and frustrated for her that clearly she has had to adapt to that stereotype and label that is put on Black women, that if they have any emotion other than happiness or joy, they're labeled too much and too emotional. It's just not okay. Sutton then decides to rephrase it, and she says, okay, you came in strong. God. And there would have not been anything wrong with those choice of words if it weren't for the fact that clearly Sutton knew she would just get in trouble if she said the word aggressive. But I mean, sorry, it's to me, strong meant aggressive. Again, just my opinion. But also, I don't think Bose even just came in too hot. It was like, what? Sutton, the only part I will concede is that Bose should have tried to see what the other side of the whole thing was instead of just taking Dorit's side. But aside from that, no. Like, it's ridiculous. Come on, Sutton. You've dealt with a lot more intense situations. But anyway, Bose just tells her, I am strong, which again, that's it right there. She has a strong personality. She's not afraid to speak in a commanding tone, which I guarantee Bose probably had to battle in corporate America with this exact issue more than anyone could ever imagine. Because just think about that for a minute, that if a white man in that corporate workforce spoke the exact same way Bose did, in the exact same tone, volume, same delivery, people would probably say, he's very fair, kind, confident, but I'm sure when a Black woman would do it, they would most likely label her as anything but that. And I really here, it's me thinking out loud, because this is the thing when it comes to triggers. They are born of historical events that are traumatic and or painful. So it's never something that comes out of thin air or to make someone else look bad. That's really where the point I'm making as I'm thinking out loud is that Bose didn't just pull this out of nowhere. This is something that has history for her. And this is not the first time she's had to let someone know, that's not me being angry. This is how I speak. This is how I speak with passion. If you would like to see me speak in the way I speak when I am feeling a certain type of way, we can do that. But I haven't done that yet. Sutton tells Bose that she didn't know what had been going on, but Bose tells her it didn't exactly take a rocket scientist to understand the situation. Well, you did need to have some more context there, Bose. I have to tell you that. Andy moves on to Garcelle asking about what Sutton was drinking at the party. And he asks Bose if she thinks Dorit meant the alcohol comment as a harmless joke. And Bose says at the very least, she believes Dorit was intentional and knew what she was doing, and adds that she told Dorit she knew what she was doing, with Sutton telling her that this has been an ongoing 2-year issue with Dorit. So Dorit asks her how it is that it's only her perpetuating this drinking issue, alleged drinking issue, what have you, with Sutton. And Sutton tells her that it's Dorit bringing it up continuously on camera. But Andy does point out one thing that Dorit did that wasn't just on camera, which was a comment on Instagram that someone said Sutton's behavior changes on a dime because she's a drunk. And Dorit replied, #facts. Oh, girl, come on. That's the problem too, Dorit. It's like you want to play innocent victim with this. You want to pretend like, oh, it's just only being directed at you, that you're the only one being called out for this, when in fact, you're over there on the internet playing little mean girl too. You both are being just absolute assholes to each other. But Dorit says, it's funny, Sutton, because this narrative that I'm perpetuating actually started from you. Do you not remember when you did some press in 2020 and said, I have my first drink at 10 a.m.? And it was, I'm a lot nicer. Do you not remember that? The reality is, that is the reality. Sutton tells her it was clearly a joke, and it was during COVID. Because remember, during COVID, well, casual alcoholism was quite accepted, was it not? At least by the world in general, because no one had anything else to do, really. But yeah, this was a valiant effort, Dorit, but come on, it's clear Sutton was not dead ass serious when she said that. I mean, come on. Sutton tells her that it's her business to talk about and not Dorit's. And that's true to an extent because someone having an alcohol problem is consistently spoken about on these shows across every single franchise, whether anyone likes it or not. Dorit asks Sutton how she's supposed to know the difference when Sutton herself and others are making jokes about it.
And you're walking around with a big ocean spray.
Sutton's just like, who cares if I walk around with a big ocean spray to pour in my drink? Who cares? Sutton can never say a specific phrase. Like she latches onto a phrase. She cannot say it only once. It's got to come out at least 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 more times.
Dorit goes, if I wanted to paint you as an alcoholic, I would be doing a hell of a lot more than what I've done.
And everyone's just going, oh, okay. Well, damn. What are you saying there, Dorit? Andy asks Dorit if that's a threat, and Dorit denies it. So he goes, it's a promise. Okay. But she denies that as well. And I do believe it was a threat that if Sutton keeps pushing her the way she was during the season, that it will be a promise. So I think it's both. And again, that's part of the problem here. Sutton kept pushing with Dorit all season. And after watching it and getting pummeled by fans about how she behaved, she's now backed off. But because Dorit had the fans and audience telling her, yes, bitch, all season, she's now going too far and not taking in or paying attention that Sutton right now is at the very least behaving as though she's at least pretending she is contrite. Okay. I mean, she may not be totally contrite, but at least she's pretending, right? I truly believe that it's as if Dorit is having a shower argument with Sutton, but it's to Sutton's face and she's not hearing what Sutton is actually saying in response. And you know what? We all know shower arguments are always so much more satisfying than real ones because you win every time. You are so clever in the shower. Like, guys, I am so shady and so quick. I am the Nene Leakes of shower arguments because no one's there to argue with me. And I think Dorit, that's what she does. She has all of her shower arguments. And I feel like Dorit probably prefers a shower argument to anything because she doesn't have anyone to actually reply to what she's saying. She can go on and on and on. I bet listen, I don't even want to know what the hot water bill is at that house. Those shower arguments. I can just imagine her.
And another thing, Sutton, eres una zorra. If you were a true child of the world, you would know it means the same thing as you're a bitch in Spanish. And you know what, Sutton, another thing is you don't have the privilege of me calling you a my country tizzo thee.
I could go on, but we only have so much time. And this is for audio going to be a 2-part recap. Gotta admit, it was pretty rich for Sutton to say to Dorit, why you gotta be so nasty like that? Girl, you were filthy with her this season. Come on. You both give it as good as you get. Dorit tells her that she's the one who keeps talking about the drinking being brought up, with Andy saying that this was the only time it was brought up during the season. And not totally true, though, because Dorit said she didn't know what medication Sutton was mixing when drinking to Kyle at Caviar Caspia. And remember, Kyle shot her down saying she shouldn't say that. But it's also ironic because that's pretty much exactly what Kyle had said to Sutton at the weed dinner party from hell last year. Again, it's one of those phrases that only on Bravo. What a full circle moment. Andy asks Sutton about if she could have just been like, yeah, all right, very funny. Okay, when Dorit had said,
are you asking if there's alcohol in it? Sutton, really?
And Sutton says she should have laughed it off with Dorit saying if she had been, Sutton says she should have laughed it off with Dorit saying if she had, then maybe they wouldn't have been discussing it for weeks now. I mean, I do believe that there's a middle ground for this one, like a sarcastic, Dorit's so funny. If you thought I shouldn't be drinking alcohol or that anyone who just drinks alcohol deserves to get a little shit, then don't have alcohol on the menu at your own party. You're just setting people up. So that's funny. Why do you have alcohol available then? Dorit asks if Sutton doesn't want it to be joked about, if it's just for herself, that if it can be joked about as well. And it's clarified
that the thought is that Sutton doesn't want anyone joking about it. Instead of it being let go, Dorit, of course.
Well, in St. Lucia, she was saying, I'm wearing vodka. Ruby red is my color.
The flashback shows how clear it was that Sutton was trying to joke about how stressed she is by the group at that time, and that she's just simply going to be wearing vodka to dinner that night. But Dorit asks who's allowed to joke, and Sutton tells her, May. I mean, exactly. It's one thing to make a self-deprecating joke. It's a whole other thing for someone to joke about something that is a hot button for you. Self-deprecating jokes are 9 times out of 10 the joke that someone will make, and they will do it to try and get ahead of someone else making the joke about them. It's like socializing 101. Dorit is telling Sutton she wants to know the rules for who can joke about Sutton's drinking and who can't, with Sutton saying that Dorit clearly likes rules to be very straight. And Dorit is still trying to take a jab here as she says that when it comes to Sutton, the rules need to be very clear
because you have to watch what you say and what you do.
Y'all, these two women are worse than two bitches clawing each other's uniforms and eyes out for the queen bee position at an all-girls Catholic school. My God. Because Andy brings up Lisa Barlow saying that Dorit is pretty, and that Sutton's response was, well, with enough plastic surgery, anyone can be pretty. Sutton, girl, you should have just let that one be. That's on you, babes. But Sutton says that Dorit hit back hard, with Dorit then saying, then why hasn't Sutton done it?
And Dorit tells her, that's what's going to happen from now on, Sutton. You're going to hit, I'm going to hit back harder.
Sutton just tells her she gets it and tries to point out Dorit giving another threat, but everyone says that's not a threat. It's a promise. Sutton just says that she doesn't think they're going to get anywhere, which Andy looks relieved at because he fully agrees and is ready to move on because we all know how much Andy hates to relitigate things. Andy moves on to Erika, saying in St. Lucia that Sutton has a tendency to kick women when they're at their lowest. But he lobs it on over to Jennifer because she knows Sutton the best and wants to know if she's noticed a pattern of behavior like that with Sutton. Jennifer says she's known Sutton a very long time, and while she hasn't witnessed that herself, she does say,
but in this group, sometimes it seems like Sutton's asking questions of people that are in a bad way, and it might seem like she's not being as empathetic.
Erika jumps in that
sometimes those questions hurt.
Sutton points out that others in the group were asking questions, and both Erika and Garcelle say that Erika knows that, but Erika tells her,
we're talking about you right now.
Sutton asks if the others questioning her also meant that they were kicking her when she was down, though. I think that's a fair point. I'm usually very, very much annoyed by when someone does the whataboutisms. But this is a fair point, in my opinion. Erika tells Sutton again,
we're talking about you right now, and I've already cussed them out privately.
With Kyle telling Sutton that Erika felt that they didn't support her as much as Lisa Rinna did, and adds, but we never kicked her when she was down, as Sutton is asking what the difference is, though. And again, I'm sorry, but that is actually a very valid question on Sutton's part. Erika is apparently hosting the reunion now because she stops everyone saying,
whoa, whoa, whoa. We're not railroading this, okay? We're talking about what happened in St. Lucia and why I feel the way that I feel and why I said what I said.
Sutton tells her that she's apologized more than once, with Erika saying she accepted it. But Sutton asks her the right question here, which is, when will you move on? But Erika says,
all I'm asking is, are you aware that you do this when people are at their lowest?
Andy asks what the difference is between asking questions and weaponizing, which Erika tells him,
intent. We're on appeal. Intent. Pat the intent.
Confirming that she believes Sutton's intent with Dorit and Kyle was to humiliate them, but Sutton denies that she was ever asking questions to humiliate anyone. Cool Girl on Twitter says Sutton yells and throws tantrums when people clock her hypocrisy and bad behavior. So Andy asks Garcelle's response to that, and Garcelle says that sometimes it seems that way, and it depends on who's pushing those buttons. And then she says, because we all have things that irk us. I'm really pissed right now.
Andy asks what she's pissed off about, and she just tells him all of it and that she doesn't want to answer any questions right now. Jennifer asks Garcelle if it's because everyone was piling on to Sutton, and Garcelle, thank you, girl. I'm glad you're about to say this because it's about damn time. Garcelle tells her, I'm thinking about me right now. And it's time that she does. And I believe that because she's finally thinking about herself and not putting Sutton first when it comes to dealing with this group, that's what led to her decision to say bye. Jennifer looks pretty much, well, extremely taken aback by that answer, though. And Sutton admits that she gets very rattled by this group and she doesn't feel that she's very well liked. And Erika tells her,
I want to like you, but I just want to trust you.
which is what designers must say every time Erika walks into their studio to commission a custom fashion piece. Sutton says it seems to her that Erika doesn't really like her or want to be her friend. And then it's wild to me that Erika is so shocked that Sutton would think this because she goes,
What? Hold the F up. Hold the F up. Where is this coming from?
Erika, darling, let's weigh the number of bad things you've had to say about Sutton and the number of good things. I don't have to come through the whole season and get an accurate account of how many good and bad things you said or some sort of scale, because we all know the answer. And to be so for real, if you have very few nice things to say about someone in comparison to the bad, why would you have any desire to be friends with them? It's called logic. Sutton points out that Erika says she kicks women when they're down. So why would she want to be friends with her if she feels that way? Which Erika says, well, I do feel that way. And Sutton questions her on why she would want to be friends with her if that's what she thinks about her. Exactly. So Erika goes,
because I have a great heart and I want to move forward with my life and I'm in a better place. Hooray me. I mean, I don't know. I do enjoy that sweeter, softer side of you, but I do have to say when I see it flip on its head, I'm like, I don't know.
Sutton, for her part, says that she can do better and that she did feel ganged up on the boat. But Kyle says, well, no one said anything except Erika in that moment, with Sutton reminding her that Dorit also said something. But also, Kyle, I have to say that the silence from the others was just as damning as if they had joined in the fray of it all. Okay. Sutton says it felt like she was ganged up on and that she has been ganged up on in the past, with lots of agreement on the fact that being ganged up on doesn't feel good. Andy's ready to move on, saying he feels that Sutton is clean with Kyle and Erika, but wonders where she goes from here with Dorit. Dorit says to Sutton,
Sutton, you have to recognize. And if you cannot recognize, then there is no way forward. But if you can, I do want a way forward.
See, here's the thing. Normally when Andy is asking that question, it's the underlying question of, can you two pretend to get along so that we think you're going to have a clean slate, fresh start, a real friendship at the beginning of the next season we're filming, only to watch it deteriorate over the course of several weeks? But Dorit's not worried because she does feel that her diamond is secure for the next season. So she's going to let Sutton know that it's on her. Okay. When Sutton asks Dorit what exactly it is that Dorit is needing her to recognize, she tells her it's about how low she goes, with Sutton saying she is quite well aware of how low she went. Andy points out that Sutton has acknowledged that she went low. And here's the thing. I feel like Dorit is a Heather Dubrow when it comes to accountability and apologies. It has to come not in 3s, but in 10s and 20s. And when it comes to Sutton, Kyle and Erika, nope. If they apologize to Dorit, good. One and done. So she's good to go. It's mostly just, okay, she's a Heather Dubrow Sutton when it comes to apologies. Just kidding. Andy says that before he moves on to another package, he sees that Garcelle has been just steaming over there and wants to know what exactly has her very clearly so unhappy. And she says again that it's all of it and doesn't want to get into it. But Garcelle, because she knows she has shown up to a job, she's going to finish it out as best she can. She recognizes that she won't be able to get away with that. Just, I don't want to get into an answer for a second time without it being like a whole thing. So she says that she doesn't feel that she ever gets any grace in this group and didn't feel it today, adding, we talk about accountability. I stand by things that I say. And even though I'm taking accountability for them, it's not accepted. Not one person had looked at me here and smiled. then confirms that they may have at the beginning of the day, but that's it. And Kyle says that maybe it's because they have anxiety about it being the reunion. And Garcelle's just like, I'm just saying how I feel. It's like, I'm sorry, but I get what Kyle's trying to say, but she was mostly just going, well, I if I didn't smile at you, it's because I'm nervous about the reunion. It's doomsday here, okay? She wasn't doing that to defend anyone but herself, and that's it. So, don't negate her feelings. Kyle asks her then if she was smiling at people, but they weren't smiling back. And she's like, yeah, when I first got here, but then it all changed. And then Garcelle's tearing up. And, Andy's trying to talk with her more, but she's like, it's okay. It's okay. And Andy's even just kind of like, well, it's not because you're very clearly upset and hurt by something. I don't know. I hate seeing this happen with Garcelle. We have a lot more answers as to where Garcelle was mentally when she made the decision. And I think it's wild how no one was picking up on the type of pile-on. And I'll get into that a little bit more as we go on. Okay. Our next package is about how everyone but Bose and Jennifer is single. And ironically, Kathy is actually the only one married and not separated or about to go through divorce of some kind. And that so many of the ladies were ready to mingle because they're more like the horny Housewives of Beverly Hills. Okay. When asked, Dorit says she does think about dating, but that she's not currently dating. And Bose thinks Dorit needs a PYT, a pretty young thing. Okay. Garcelle's impressive body count is brought up. And when Andy lists the names, she says that she actually did not sleep with Sean Penn at the very least. And then Andy brings up Erika saying that Garcelle may have peaked. And Garcelle's like, maybe. She's over it, y'all. But Eric is now going to try and slightly backtrack by saying Garcelle's roster is elite. Andy asks if she's had any more recent or past love affairs to divulge, and Garcelle's just like, no. Especially not with you, assholes. And then he asks Jennifer about any famous people she's had trysts with. And Jennifer just says,
I wish that I slept with more above the name titles because then I'd be able to get an advance on my autobiography. But I only slept with character actors and strange, squishy comedians.
You guys, you could never make me hate Jennifer Tilly. Never. And this is when Erika sneaks in.
Well, it worked out good.
And the look on Erika's face actually says to me,
well, you still ended up rich, bitch, while I had to take on my greatest acting role, performing interest in the bedroom, with the rude raisinette man who stole from orphans and widows. And I did always find it strange that his version of dirty talk was to tell me he's working on getting my money, but the judge won't sign off. That, and to tell him I'm stupid and shouldn't talk, but that was expected so often, I only assumed that he was just frisky all the time.
Andy says that it seemed like a big moment when Kyle removed wife from her bio. And after he asks her, Kyle says that she does get some random DMs from both men and women, but no one exciting. Andy asks who they think is most likely to get remarried first, obviously excluding Bose, since she's in a relationship that better be on that track if they're doing the baby thing. Well, I mean, you don't have to be married, but that's what she wants. Okay, that sounded way more I don't know, archaic than I meant it. Jennifer says that she thinks Kyle will, with Kathy echoing that sentiment. And Kyle says she really does like being married. Erika's run on Chicago is brought up, which is going to eventually, at some point, take us into the Tom conviction of it all. And we'll hear for the umpteenth time about how she wasn't sure how she would make it through each day. And we get a picture of her son testifying in the ASAP Rocky trial. Her son's a good-looking guy. Andy points out that her son had really demanded his privacy from the show and how interesting it was to see this happen, with him ending up on television testifying in the ASAP Rocky trial. And, Erika says that she likes that her son got to do it in his own way. Gosh, I just lost the plot there, didn't I? She says that the whole Tom thing actually did bring her and her child closer and that they see each other every day. And she's grateful for the Tom thing, if only for the fact that it brought her and her son closer. I bet the victims are quite grateful for the Tom thing to finally happen for many other reasons. When the Tom thing happened, she and her son weren't exactly estranged, but they actually weren't talking. And her son has known Tom as his stepfather since he was 6 years old. So it sounds like it was a really difficult situation all around. The Chuck E. Cheese party is brought up, and Erika says that when the blindfold was taken off and the surprise was Chuck E. Cheese, that she had made a decision, or I'm sorry, that she had to make a decision in that moment to either go with it and have fun or be disappointed. And that she did wonder for a split second if they were making fun of her, but that she pushed that thought aside quickly. With Kyle saying that it was actually a little sad that Erika thought they were going to the private airport. Well, Jesus, Kyle. You and Sutton have money and Erika doesn't have money like y'all do now, so it wasn't totally out of the realm. But also, Erika, this is not Pretty Woman. Kyle Sutton and Garcelle are not your Richard Gere whisking your wig and cut-out dress off to France on a private jet. Andy brings up Erika's therapist, Dr. Jen, and how funny it was that she said Erika didn't have pizza party behavior. Erika says that the ladies of this group have seen her in the moments that she was holding up the walls on her crumbling marriage, then seen her when she's angry and drinking too much.
But now you see me emerge. It's my nature to be more this way than what you've seen. That vicious, on guard animal.
I don't know. I don't feel like this is so much different from the Erika we've seen. Okay. I mean, listen, that
Or what?
was really that look on her face was an echo of Tamara Judge's
That's my opinion.
sneering, hissing cat raccoon face, that scrunched up nose from Botox and not being able to. But after Erika says this, we pan over to Garcelle, who's rolling her eyes and so very upset right now. And this is where I think Garcelle, she needs a break for a moment. She just needs to be able to take a moment. Of course, if she did, she might never come back. And I get it. Andy asks Erika why she hasn't filed for divorce from Tom, but she doesn't have an answer. And at the end of the day, she had a larger list of issues that she had to contend with, where filing for divorce was at the bottom of. She's also saying she's not quite sure how one goes about divorcing an incompetent person. Yeah, okay. Well, we're finally at the 4 counts of wire fraud relating to embezzlement that Tom was found guilty of. Tom is apparently pushing for hospitalization rather than jail time. So Andy asks Erika if she's thought about visiting Tom. And Erika goes,
I've thought about that, and this is going to sound cold, but when he passes away,
which, interestingly enough, was her plan before any of Tom's devious misdeeds were exposed. So didn't have to rearrange anything there. But she says that essentially Tom isn't really in there and there isn't anything for them to actually say to each other, especially with him in this condition, because she's never going to get the answers that she's looking for. And also that she's worked really hard to move on and push through this grief, that if she's not going to get anything that's beneficial to her, then there isn't really a point, essentially. Now, I remember I'm no lawyer, no law school over here for me. I do wonder, though, if she does not divorce him, right, before he passes, would she not end up acquiring his debts and judgments? Not like legal judgments, but like money judgments when he passes. And those would be greater than anything she would acquire from a divorce from him, I would think. I don't know. I'm not educated like that. A viewer saying that Erika spent all that time yelling at the women to
wait for the facts and let the courts do their job,
etc. With now the fact that Tom has been convicted, question is, what do you have to say about it all now? And do you believe that Tom is guilty at this point? Erika says,
it doesn't really matter what I think. The law does. That's where it really is.
You still don't answer the question? Okay, girl. Okay. It's the same old shit. I'm sorry. It's frustrating to me. Apparently, none of the people who turned their back on Erika have come back around after Tom's conviction. Well,
They probably also saw your monstrous behavior whenever it was all going down too and said, I'm good. If that's who that really is under there, I'm not so sure. Yeah. Sutton and her mother's relationship is the next package where she went toe to toe with the most intimidating housewife yet, her mother Reba, and that whole trip to Augusta. Sutton says that going to Augusta and seeing the room where she found her father when he had passed was good closure for her, and it was helpful for her to move forward. But she and Reba have not discussed the episode that, or the episodes, I should say, that were filmed in Augusta. Garcelle says even though people had opinions about Sutton's mother, she actually was very, very sweet. Andy brings a viewer tweet up, which, oh my gosh, wow. It was, of course, Kyle would get along with Sutton's mom. She grew up with Big Kathy. He asks Kyle and Kathy if they see similarities between their own mother and Sutton's, but they both say no. They're both strong women, but very much not the same. And Kathy says their mother was very cuddly, actually, with Erika saying that she was staring at her grandmother when she watched Reba on those episodes because it's how those women were raised generationally.
That we are talking Southern, strong, heavy on the steel magnolias.
It did help her understand Sutton a little more after realizing the amount of trauma Sutton has been through, having a mother who is a therapist. Oh my gosh. And that when Garcelle had tried to tell Reba that Sutton needed to hear words of affirmation from her, Reba saying,
"That's none of your business," I thought, my God, my grandmother has been resurrected. Like, there she is.
Sutton admits that she needs to look at it from her mother's perspective because it does appear as though Sutton is blaming her, but that she recognizes that her own mother must have been feeling fear as well and that she had her own trauma from it. In summary, Sutton has realized she has some more inner work to do. Yeah, I mean, don't we all? And that she would also like to be a better friend and be better, which we do see Garcelle look down after she says that she would like to see herself become a better friend, which, Garcelle's got the whole novel written on her face. I'm the same way, friend. Very difficult. Andy does take a moment to acknowledge Teddy Mellencamp and asks Kyle how she's doing. And it sounds as though Teddy has been in the best of spirits that she can be. She's got a very long road ahead of her. And most everyone except a certain someone has been reaching out and trying to be supportive of Teddy, which Andy asks that person, Dorit, if she's been in touch with Teddy, but she says no. And that
I think I did something on Instagram, but when she's not in the thick of it, I feel like it's a better time to check on her.
But Dorit, the effing point here is that she may never be out of the thick of it. Does that register for you? Do you recognize? Because I'm sorry. Love Teddy, hate her, like her, think nothing of her. That is so shitty and shows a lot of Dorit's character, which you can see that entire point is written all over Kyle's face in this moment. I find that very wild. I mean, even if Dorit only considered Teddy to be a coworker, I'm surprised that was not touched on more, because that disappointed me greatly in Dorit. Greatly. I don't give a shit if you consider her one of your dear friends or not. That's not the best type of person. Because what kind of falling out did Dorit and Teddy have? None that we know of. Nothing horrible happened that we know of. So unless you want to say that something horrible happened, you look like a grade A arsehole. Don't you, Dorit?
Oh.
Kyle and Mo's separation is now the topic, and those airport kissing paparazzi photos are brought up. And just as they're about to watch the playback, Kyle's damn crystal falls over again, with Andy giving her just like this annoyed but petrified look. Again, like I said, it's bad when even a rock is trying to crawl away from these bitches and the awkwardness and tension. Dorit just looks at Kyle and goes, Kyle. Okay. Kathy is crying watching this whole package, and Andy asks Kyle when it's over where she and Mo are in their separation and really if anyone has filed for divorce. But she says no, they haven't. It's pretty much the same. They communicate a lot, but that's about it.
Kyle starts crying, but she even admits she doesn't really know why she's crying at this point. That after 30 years together, it's just sad and that they do love each other. And looking back at it all, they really did have a great, wonderful life together. It's so sad. Shit. Kathy does admit that she wants to see Kyle and Mauricio reconcile because she doesn't like things to change. And Sutton jokes about Kathy wanting her and Christian to reconcile, with Kyle adding, Kathy hasn't even met Christian. But Kathy says she just wants everything to stay the same, especially for the kids. A viewer saying that Kyle's perception of the separation and divorce and how Kyle believes that theirs will be different than everyone else's proves that Kyle believes that she's an exception in situations is read off of a card, to which Kyle so eloquently states, fuck off. I mean, okay. Then Kyle asking Mauricio about the towels in his apartment and trying to help him was actually a really heartbreaking moment. And it got to me as well. I remember recapping this because it was clearly Kyle's way of saying, let me take care of you. A viewer brings this up. And that it was painful to hear Mauricio just say, I'm good. It's a great point. She was really still just wanting to be his wife in some capacity because that's the thing with, they were together for 30 years. She doesn't know how else to be for him. Andy points out that last year Kyle seemed angry with Mauricio, and this year she just seems sad. Stages of grief, people. Those are the stages. But he asks if she has regrets about separating with Mo, and she says her regrets are that they allowed their marriage to get to this point and that they didn't communicate with each other before it was too late. Jennifer asks Kyle if she thinks Mauricio regrets this separation and would want to reconcile. Kyle tells her, I know he regrets things that have happened that got us to this place. I don't know that he wants to get back together because he's never said that. It pans over to Dorit, who is clearly realizing that the questions Kyle is getting at the moment are going to be her same inquiries for next year. But it's also going to be very different because here's something very harsh Caitlin is about to say. I'm very sorry, but I bought the relationship of Mauricio and Kyle being the real deal in love type of thing more than PK and Dorit. I'm so sorry. I personally have a hard time imagining Kyle and Mauricio having the same type of dirty, piercing, screaming matches that I imagine PK and Dorit had. And I'm not saying that I put that all on Dorit. I kind of imagine PK really being nasty with her, you know? Kyle says that people ask all the time if the breakup was due to the show, but that it had nothing to do with the show. That Mauricio had always been extremely supportive of her and her position on the show, essentially. And then she admits money, traveling, fame, the agency growing, the attention he was getting, with all that, women are snakes. I'm sorry, side note, excuse me. No woman should ever be able to turn his head away from his family. Don't put it on the women. The women, that's girls, don't be going in any man that you know for a fact is in a relationships, DMs, messaging. Don't throw yourself on them. That's shitty. But Kyle, baby, you got to put that on Mauricio. He should not in a million years entertain it. Like I said, I've said it a million times. There are reasons. I have 6 by 6 foot holes dedicated in very, very remote locations, just in case someone wants to F around and find out. She says they see a man that's a good man, a good husband, a good father, and they see that and they're like, oh, I want that, throwing themselves at him. And then she says, we got married very young. And I personally felt that she was about to accidentally say, we got married too young. But anyway, Kyle also says that because they were so young when they got married, Mo never really got to go out and do his thing basically the way he currently is. So Andy asks her if seeing Mauricio out there partying, does it hurt her, because that would not be easy to see. She says it's actually the opposite, that it's not what she wants to be doing. She has no FOMO with it. And he brings up Mauricio and PK partying with Kyle Cook, who is DJing an event, and how it makes Kyle feel to see that. And essentially, she says it gives her the ick, in more or less words. And it reminds her of exactly why they are where they are. Kathy mutters to Erika that she would be so jealous and hurt if it was her in Kyle's position, but notes that Kyle isn't. I mean, same, Kathy. I told y'all, I'm crazy. That would not go over well with me. Andy asks Kyle if she's thought about moving and getting a house that's all her own. Now, this was pretty interesting. Kyle says that there was a minute there where she was actually looking and found a house, but it was right across from Lisa Vanderpump's home. And there was even a window in this house that looked right into Lisa's. And everyone's like, what? Come on, do it. And Andy's egging her on saying, just do it for the show for season 15. Maybe not. But Kyle was like, no, I was actually like this close to buying the house. Andy asks Garcelle about Sutton bringing up Mauricio's alleged infidelity and what she was thinking when Sutton did. Garcelle says, I was shocked because, they'd all heard about it in the press, but that no one ever really speaks about it. And Andy then looks at Kyle and, oh my gosh. And he says, last year, you kind of alluded to something on this reunion. So I was surprised you were acting a little obtuse about it on the show. Oh, not obtuse. What Ariana called Sandoval when they were fighting over Brittany playing the voice recording Faith took of herself and Jax, talking about Brittany and banging, and then Brittany playing it for the entire housewarming party with her and Jax. Obtuse. Kyle says that she has her daughters to think about and she cares about Mauricio and she's not here to hurt anyone or throw them under the bus. And then she says, not everything in our lives is up for grabs. And I'm not here to talk bad about Mo. I don't like when anybody speaks against him. And I do feel like that was done intentionally that day with Sutton. I was like, wow. She said it wasn't on purpose, that it was an accident, but I don't want to talk bad about the father of my children. I just don't. Okay. Kyle? No, not everything in your lives is on the table. But your marriage is shown on the show. Children, totally different thing. This is ridiculous. When it's out in the freaking press, it's like, I don't know. I think Kyle's reached her time that she just can't be doing this anymore because she's got to stop it. Okay. I'm sorry. I know it's probably a little unfair to say that something's off the table, but if you sign up for it, I'm so sick of having to explain this. And I'm sick of hearing Kyle saying on camera, off camera, on camera, off camera. You are supposed to be trying to give the audience the illusion that this is your real life. And yes, we are smarter than that, but at the same time, do it. Do it for the kids. And by the kids, I mean the audience. Andy asks if Kyle had any indication that Mo was seeing anyone before the photo of him kissing that woman in the airport started circulating. She says no, but she assumed that he was, and that before he moved out, she used to see all his messages. But she's not going to divulge her secrets, saying, listen, my day job is detective. This is just a side gig. And Erika tries to make it seem like she's also a master detective, as Kathy says that she is chairman of the board. Erika, really? You're a master detective? How did you stay so clueless to Tom's bullshit and his crimes? Riddle me that, babes. But again, Kyle won't speak publicly on her ways of finding things out, but she'll tell women in private off camera to keep it between the girls. Okay, so I take back only the part of the being tired of the on camera, off camera stuff when it pertains to this, because Kyle sent me a DM. I want to know. Apparently, Kyle even was able to just recently say, oh, someone saw you the other day in Louis Vuitton, with Mauricio being completely freaked out that Kyle gathers every little tiny crumb. Okay, every single one. Yeah. I mean, guys, this is one of the reasons why I can't help but be endeared to Kyle sometimes, because same, babe. Same. Kyle admits she has stopped looking now, with Andy asking her if she feels angry seeing Mauricio with all these different women. And she's like, no, it's jarring, but that she feels like she's looking at someone else, not her husband of 30 years, but that she feels no sadness, anger, or jealousy. And when asked if he said anything about it, she's like, well, he apologized. And he also got a tongue lashing from the 4 other Kyles. And damn, if those girls don't look and sound just like Kyle, it's almost scary how much they sound like her, especially Alexia. Oh my gosh. She does go on to say that she will be moving on very soon. And y'all, can I be so for real with you? The way I thought that Kyle and Morgan were going to fully just like go public
an official photo after this reunion. It was so delusional, but it's really what I thought was going to happen in my heart of hearts. Andy asks Dorit if she thinks that PK is dating, but she says she doesn't know. And then, interestingly enough, she looks at Kyle and asks her if she's heard anything. And at first I was thinking, is it because you're trying to throw another little meh meh at Kyle about how she shares memes and jokes with PK? But Kyle says no. And she also confirms that Mauricio hasn't said anything either, but that even though she hasn't asked him, she does maybe kind of doubt that Mauricio would actually tell her if she was. And now Andy asks Sutton about how she had said last year that the streets were talking about PK and wants to know if she's heard anything recently. But she's like, no, I'm not putting that my little Georgia ear to the streets these days. And now, my friends, we are going to go ahead and get on to the big one that nobody cares about because we already know the answer. And the only one who finds it to be such a big deal is Kyle. It's going to be Kyle's sexuality. Okay. Andy brings up Kyle questioning her own sexuality and how she had said she never questioned it prior to that point and how she had to have a conversation with her daughters about it. The look on Kathy's face and Erika clutching her chest as Kyle notes that Kathy is trying really hard not to laugh is noted by me. Kathy is just bursting out laughing and she cannot stop laughing, but Kyle says to just let her get it out of her system. I don't know, y'all. I was caught between being really shocked that Kathy would have this outburst. Y'all know I love me some Kathy Hilton, and also wondering if this also said everything we need to know. That maybe even Kathy finds it to be a joke to just truly be perpetuating this still where anyone's even questioning what the actual answer is at this point. I don't know, but I understand Kathy must have been uncomfortable, but at the same time, get it together. This moment's not about you. Okay. Love you, Kathy. I really do. But I think even you would admit that you needed to get your shit together here. But Kathy also says that it's a big pill to swallow. And Kyle tries again to start the conversation by saying, yeah, it's a lot. It is a lot. And I had to have this conversation with my girls, but Kathy starts busting out laughing all over again. And Kyle is trying her damnedest to continue on about this. Kyle says, when the chatter started before the music video and all that, that would have never crossed my mind ever in my life. I have a very specific type, and I started questioning, am I not seeing that I actually, is this like a crush? Crush? I don't know. A crush? She's trying to say the word crush, I believe. And Kathy just tells Kyle, you're sounding like me. I don't understand what you're saying. Kyle says it's a hard thing to say, and that Kathy being over there laughing is not exactly making it any easier. Now, after Kyle had been so rudely interrupted by the outburst of giggles by Kathy Hilton, she does go on to say that it had her thinking, maybe I'm not seeing something. And then later, when the press was talking about it so much, it was so relentless, it had gotten to that point where it was something that I needed to address with my daughters. And I wasn't quite sure myself, to be honest. Okay, now I get why Kyle was saying the, after Kathy had said that Kyle was starting to sound like her and not making sense because she definitely has said, like 15 times already. And, it is interesting because people say typically, in my opinion, whenever they're wanting the things they're saying validated and they're wanting to see that someone is agreeing with them, She continues that this isn't something that you just wake up one day and go, oh, it was a strange feeling. So honestly, it was just a really proud moment for me as a mom, how my daughters reacted. Andy asks her to confirm it was that they supported her. And she says that it was beyond even just supporting her because it was a very uncomfortable conversation to have. She always wanted them to be proud of her. And it was kind of embarrassing for her to have this conversation. But this is also one of the most telling parts in the whole entire segment and conversation that I feel was pretty glossed over. Kathy says, well, I talked to my girls about it and they were like, Mom, it's 2000 and this is, I got a little bit like, Andy, Kathy, what are you two doing? Because I wish Andy hadn't interrupted what she was saying. I wanted to know where she was going with that thought. But okay. I also think that Kyle probably at this point came out to Kathy, who talked to Paris and Nikki about it, simply enough. But Andy interrupted Kathy to ask her if she told her girl she was a lesbian too, which Kyle starts laughing and saying she didn't say that. And Kathy says no, that whenever they, as in who's they, had the conversation with the cousins, meaning Kyle's daughters and everything, that Paris and Nikki looked at her like she was crazy because it's like, who cares? And exactly, it's not that big of a deal. I think it's one of those things, the more you stress about it and the bigger of a deal you make it, the bigger of a deal it becomes. And then Kathy says, just to make you feel better, and asks if she did the wrong thing and says that even Rick was like, who cares? But understandably, Kyle is getting frustrated because this is clearly something she is so very anxious about. And we already know Kyle tends to struggle with anxiety as it is. But Kyle is, again, getting frustrated. And she says, just let me talk to this only, please. And that's fair. That's fair. But also, didn't it kind of sound like when she was scolding Dorit when she got involved in the issue between Kathy and Kyle because of Lisa Rinna? Seeing the devil. And it's Kathy Hilton. Anywho, Kyle says the girls were very supportive and that Portia gave her a hug and told her that she loves her and there's nothing Kyle could do to make them not love her. Aw, that's very sweet. You know, something that whenever we do my son's little prayers every night, I ask him if he knows I love him the most I will ever love him right now. And he'll say yes. And I'll say, good, because it's true, because there's nothing you could do or say that would make me love you more or less than I do today. And that's just the epitome of unconditional, pure love. Okay. Stop getting sappy, Caitlin. Move on. Andy tells Kyle that that's actually what his own father said to him when he came out to his parents. But let's just call it what it is. Kyle is clearly still not fully ready because she says, I didn't say I was coming. I'm saying I had questions. Okay. And I don't know if y'all noticed this, but Kyle did cover her mouth as she said this, which honestly, I don't shoot the messenger, but that's the easiest and quickest body language indicator of someone lying because it's like this natural inclination to try and physically stop a lie from coming out of your mouth. But I'm proud of Kyle for admitting she's in the questioning category. Hey, that was a big step, girl. That was a big step. You know, she does admit to questioning and that the response gave her the freedom to do what I want and be who I want and do what makes me happy regardless of where I go and where I end up and who I end up being with. Oh, I think that's the most we could ask for from Kyle specifically. Now we're into the final thoughts of the reunion. And y'all, I thought this was for audio going to be 2 parts, but it's not. May as well just make it one good long one. How about that? Hope you're on a road trip or cleaning or, I don't know, relaxing somewhere. Why am I turning into Jennifer Coolidge or some psychotic version of her? The most unexpected surprise of the season is what the closing question will be. And they start with Jennifer Tilly, who says,
my unexpected surprise was how much footage they shoot and how little they actually use. You could probably film 3 seasons of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and put together 3 seasons with what they actually filmed.
But Kyle's like, don't give them any ideas. Kathy forgot what the question was, but nothing surprised her and talks about how she had a good time and always has a good time when they travel, to which Kyle says, oh, to be a friend of. And the look on Garcelle's face. Listen, y'all, Garcelle hides her thoughts about it as well as I do. Our face will always be shouting louder than our mouths. But I think she clearly is thinking that Kyle is finding some sort of like a superior status in not being a friend of, but a full-time cast member. And that also she knows all too well that the brunt of what a full-time cast member takes on is a little bit more. But all of this tells me Kyle did not watch Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, because if she did, honey, she'd know that the friends of on Salt Lake City don't really just get to chill. I mean, unless you're Maylee, is it Workman? I don't know. Erika?
No surprise, but I feel good.
Well, honey, no surprise there. Bo says she was surprised by everything, but the most surprising was the depth of emotion between the women and how much they care, and that she also believes that's why it makes for such intense drama.
Dorit says she's surprised that she found a friend for life in Bose. She's just truly what a blessing. I mean, a bigger blessing than even my own children, because I would like to crawl up Bose, your coochie, and be an embryo in your uterus. Is it too late for that offer?
Garcelle says she was surprised in a good way about seeing more of Sutton and her mother because it was really revealing in a lot of ways. Y'all, I want you to hear this. Garcelle gave Sutton an opportunity to redeem herself in their friendship. She did. Sutton is not the friend to Garcelle that Garcelle is to her. Because then, what does Sutton do? She says she was most surprised she and Erika got along so well and hopes they continue to do so. After Erika was dragging Garcelle, saying, I wish you were more interesting. Well, maybe she peaked with her roster. Like, this woman was an asshole to someone who is supposed to be your bestie. You don't have to go to war with Erika to support Garcelle. You could have said anything. Garcelle, I was so touched and surprised by, which I shouldn't be, but surprised by how brave and supportive you were going out on a limb for me with my mother. Speaking on the deep need I have for my mother to give me words of affirmation. Man, I'm disappointed because y'all know I've been disappointed in Sutton this season, even though I am a slutton. It's getting harder because the way someone supports their friends, especially when they see how down and upset they are, speaks volumes to me. Volumes. Okay. And Garcelle's face is shouting the whole story on it. Like I said, Kyle was most surprised by herself and her own behavior, like walking out of Bose's. But the positive surprise is how strong she now realizes she is. And they toast with that watermelon drink that Sutton said was nasty. And Jennifer Tilly is going to do the toast.
Oh, okay. Well, there are all kinds of ships. There's gold ships, there's silver ships, there's Louis Vuitton ships. But the best ship of the world is friendship.
They cheers and go to do the cast photo, but Garcelle says, I'm out, and walks off, which everyone is so shocked by. And Dorit just goes,
Garcelle, that's really unprofessional. That's not cool.
Bitch, you are just doing that to be in front of Andy, being a little tattletale. Give me a break, Dorit. Like, now I've had enough of your ass too. I'm glad this is part 3. Told y'all I'm a little emotional and all over the place here. And also, Dorit, just because you never met a camera you didn't like doesn't mean she has to stick around for this. Although I would have liked to see Garcelle do the cast photo because she was the one who said she wanted to be in it. She wanted there to be one. But she tells them she doesn't want to be in the cast photo and leaves, which Andy, again, he points out that she's the one who said in the beginning she hoped they would get the cast photo together. Garcelle goes into her trailer and talks to her glam about all of it, saying she's not going to be doing this anymore and doesn't want cameras in there because she's done. And the cameras leave, but obviously she's still mic'd. So we hear her saying she never sends cameras away because she's always a team player, but this is no team. God, I get it. Garcelle's the only one that would ask the tough questions. She would be the only one that would go toes. Like, she's the only one. And while back on the stage, Andy's asking what happened, and they say they don't know, that they don't think Garcelle had much drama this season. Sutton barely stands up for her, just going, Garcelle, she's really upset. And Kyle says that Garcelle just doesn't like being called out for any little thing, which is what they have to do there on the reunion. But no one there seems to have any idea what has Garcelle so upset, even though she said she feels like she gets no grace with anyone in the group and that she is one of the few who actually takes accountability. She just told y'all. And y'all accused her of accusing someone of a crime. Garcelle was not accusing Dorit of a crime. And she was honest. She didn't backtrack. I'm just heartbroken over this. Garcelle deserved better. Did Garcelle have moments where she could be a complete and total dick? Yeah. But so could the rest of you. And Garcelle would own it when she was. She'd tell you where she was coming from, how she felt. Oh, God, you guys. In her trailer, Garcelle's saying that she just feels like they're all effing assholes and that no one said, oh, I understand what you're saying. No one said anything. And the fact that I owned how I felt with the situation with her house, referring to Dorit's robbery. She goes on to tell what I assume is a woman who's a part of her glam team that she felt as though she was on an island alone when she's always honest and accountable to the things she does and says. And then she adds that she can't be friends with any of these people because she doesn't trust them and that it just doesn't even feel like they like her. And I can understand why she would feel this way. It was just absurd that they were up there acting like Garcelle is the only person in the world who had questions about this robbery. Okay, come on. Which, by the way, very interesting listen. Go listen to the Bravo docket. I love Ceci and Angela. Go listen to the Bravo docket because guess what? They have two parts to it. They broke down all of PK's money and legal stuff all the way back from London to here. Fascinating. Okay. And I love a podcast or listening to something that makes me feel smarter after I listen to it. Do you know what I mean? I hope I don't make anyone here feel dumber. You probably feel smarter just hearing me talk because you're like, this bitch is an idiot. Anyway, on the stage, Sutton tells them that she thinks Garcelle feels like it was unfair, but they don't understand what could be unfair and what Garcelle took on that would upset her to this extent. And I get it. You all have to take it. You all have to take it. I think also there were things that were off camera that Garcelle expected it to be very different on that stage. And then Sutton, you little asshole. This is where you lost me. Garcelle always has your back. And for you to let them talk this kind of shit about her, Sutton says she doesn't understand why Garcelle is upset. It literally feels like Sutton is trying to pander to the popular girls. But Erika, for fuck's sake, she goes,
Life is unfair. We've all had it unfair on this place.
and then Kyle says it's child's play what Garcelle went through that day compared to what they've all dealt with on that stage. But when has Kyle had a full pile on like this at a reunion that she didn't cry her way out of? Y'all know I have a soft spot for her, but let's be so for real. They go ahead, take the photo. Garcelle packs her stuff up, saying she's done, that it's been an amazing ride, amazing opportunity, but she's done. And they're effing assholes. It's one way to leave it all behind you. Sutton goes to check on her, and they tell her that Garcelle left, but she starts wandering around saying, she's gone. We're supposed to have supper. Oh, yeah. Totally different ending to this reunion than I expected to feel, but I think I'm glad we're done with the reunion. I do feel that it technically could have probably been 2 parts, but we're good. We're good. And that, my friends, is the end of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills Season 14. Friends, if you could do me a favor, support the show, share it with any Bravo besties you have. I will be covering more than Bravo here pretty soon. Secret Lives of Mormon Wives Season 2 is coming out in a month. I will be recapping our Mom Talk Girlies. And of course, I will be recapping The Valley on Friday and doing Summer House tomorrow. Also, besties, wherever it is you're listening, if you could do me a huge favor and leave a 5-star review with maybe a little comment why you love the show, it means the world. And I do read every single review, and my little heart just dances when I see things that you guys actually like that I'm doing. Go follow at Besties by Caitlin, Caitlin on Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And check out the Pop Culture Besties Etsy merch shop, my friends. It's all designed by yours truly. And besties, I hope you have a wonderful hump day, and I will see you tomorrow for Summer House. Thanks again for joining. Bye.